Hey, what's up, guys? Sean here with BlueRidgeSilverhound, and today we have another edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. This time, this is like your midweek style of report. And as always, this does, check out some of the last known sales of some errors and varieties from about the last 24 to 48 hours. All right, so this is my first time running a PCMR middle of the week. We will still be doing the weekend Pocket Change Market Report as well. So you're getting two reports for the price of one every single week. But, there is this gap right in the middle of the week that we don't cover. And that's why I've elected, because due to popular demand, people just want to know what coins are selling around the clock. And we have, 30 more coins to talk about. That'll hopefully get your hunting juices flowing. All right. So, like always, all the coins are raw, unless specified. Raw means they're not graded by PCGS or NGC or any of these other big grading companies. The big idea is you find these going through change or coin roll hunting, or perhaps cherry picking varieties or errors at a local coin shop or a show, which we just had a pretty big show here recently. So, the opportunity is there to find something for a lot cheaper and then turn around and flip it and make a boatload of cash. Or the obvious other, option is just to keep the coin in your collection. If you want to build a collection based off of your finds, that's probably the best way to build a collection. But in any event, this will give you guys some perspective on the market. By the way, the market is still going strong with no let up in sight. And, coins that are $5, $10, $15, $20 are selling in great quantities. And every single one of them has their set amount of buyers, which is good. There's quite an audience for all of these coins. So make sure you are aware that there is a butt for every seat when it comes to your errors and varieties. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right in. As always, don't forget to like, share, or subscribe to my videos. By the way, great news. If you go into my channel, I actually have playlists of all the Pocket Change Market Reports and all the Monday Market ones and how-to videos and coins that are most valuable. Okay, I actually took a little bit of time and put together some playlists so that way you could go in and kind of just make a night of it, right? There are hours and hours of videos to watch. All right, well, enough about that. You guys know where it's at. Let's go ahead and jump into the first coin. And it's going to be a somewhat out of focus Lincoln Memorial Cent. This is a 1969S. All right, so that's everybody's favorite date for the mere prospect that a certain rare double-to-die obverse that's worth many tens of thousands of dollars could be found. However, this is not one of them, but this is a great kind of like second place prize right here. We have a coin that has not only two semi-curved clips right here, so you got one right about 3 o'clock, the other at 6. But this one also has the floating roof, so you got a little bit of die abrasion on those lines that connect the roof to the actual monument. It does have its issues. It's got some sort of corrosion or crud right here on the reverse, so that's also worth mentioning. But still not too bad. This coin right here sold for $18. And by the way, all the prices are with shipping included. So I figure that's a good way to kick it off. A marginally market acceptable error with crud on the back that sold for $18. I think the market is doing okay. The second coin, what is this? Oh, paper money, right? The very thing that you fold up in half and put it in your wallet or billfold. However, this 2006, this is a relatively recent $1 Federal Reserve note too. Has something funny going on there on the bottom left-hand corner, and that is what they call a butterfly fold. So if you come across this in circulation, no, do not cut it, do not rip it. That's all part of the error aspect of this note that makes it very valuable. All right, so this is probably more on the smaller side in terms of butterfly folds go, but really it's just a piece of paper that was folded over to the back before it was cut. All right, so this example right here is in decent shape. It actually looks like it's circulated quite a fair bit. You do have a centerfold. You can see that wear pattern right there. This one sold for $29.99, which is good. That's a good solid amount of money for this note. You can see the reverse and that butterfly little chip right there on the corner. So you never know what you can find. Sure enough, someone did find this one. So these are out there on much newer notes. So if you're like me, you like to search through older Lincoln wheat cent bags, you're going to come across a grip of these type of coins, and they are quite popular to certain crowds that collect them by date and attribution. But what we have here is a 1957 Lincoln wheat cent that has a little bit of a die chip between the B and E in Liberty, and they call this the BIE Die Chip Cent. This is actually attributed on the website cudzoncoins.com, and as you find them and they're not in there, they're not listed, you can go ahead and send them to the attributors there, and they will put your name on it. You just gotta make sure you put some pretty good images in there. Here's a close-up of that die chip. This is just a really vulnerable spot on the die. And that's why you see a lot of these die chips here between the B and E. It's because it's just a very, very narrow passageway right there. But this one right here sold for $4.70. And they all seem to command somewhere in that $2 to $10 range. There are a few much more difficult dates with the BIE die chip that will certainly command toward that topper end of the value range. So keep that in mind. You can even find these on certain dates of Lincoln memorials too. Here's our first, I would say, lot of the group. I don't think we have too many in here. As a matter of fact, this might be the only one, but we have a trio of error Lincoln memorial cents. We have a 99, we have a 2000, and look at there, a much more difficult type of date and mint mark. That is a 2000D, or Denver struck coin. So from left to right, you have a coin that has about 15-20% off center for the 99. Right in the middle, you have a coin that's about maybe 10% off center. And then finally, that last coin there on the right is broad struck. So that one was struck without the aid of a collar to keep the coin in the striking chamber before it was struck. So the metal flow has to go somewhere, so it's pancaked outwards on all sides. The reverse here tells a different story. That 2000D that you see there on the right has a number of scratches, and that's unfortunate. That's actually quite bad for me, especially because I don't like to buy coins with that kind of damage on there. And considering that these are copper-coated zinc planchet coins, you're just going to be asking for trouble. All right, that's going to be a tough coin to sell when it's time to unload it. But in any event, this is a trio that sold for $13.50. Normally, I would say look out for, larger, more meaningful lots where you could get the coins per piece on a much cheaper level. So that way you could turn around and flip each one individually and probably 4x, 5x your profits. I've done that before, and those do exist out there. Just make sure you're buying the largest lot that you can with all legit errors. The next one that we have here is as simple as one little thing. All right, it's a 1950 something. All right, it's missing the last digit in the date. It is a Denver minted coin, but we do know it's a Lincoln wheat cent. And that's really the big selling part about this coin, is that it's missing the last digit. And how that happens is that you have a clogged die with just grease and debris. Whatever that last digit is, it could be a 1, a 2, a 3, you just never know. But yeah, that die had that particular number completely filled with grease and crud and all that stuff, and then when it strikes the coins, it will show nothing. So again, great pictures. If you're able to find stuff like this, and they are actually quite common out there if you are a volume searcher of Lincoln wheat cents, because these do come up quite a bit in the wheat cent coins, then I would pull out every single one of them. This particular one, through 9 bids, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $19.50, which is a tremendous amount of money for a coin like this in this condition. So bombs away, find these, and then you'll be in good shape. Imagine going through like a $50 face bag of Lincoln wheat cents and finding like 15, 20 of these. I mean, that's going to make your whole bag right there, you know. The opportunities are endless when you're searching through these wheat cent bags. Now this one, you know, it's a nice looking coin. I would say it's probably like an AU55 grade. It's 1924, a little bit tougher even though it's a Philadelphia, but this one does have a good fair share amount of eye appeal, which I like. This is be a coin that I would personally put into a Buffalo nickel album, which I do have. I just never bothered to do anything with it, which is a shame. This coin would look great in here. But the big reason why that this one's even on the list is that someone was selling this as a doubled die. Here are a few spots on the obverse of the coin, which kind of tell the real story of what's going on here. Like you see on the date, you see kind of what appears to be hub doubling. You see also here, this is that third feather. This is that other feather. You can see a little bit of doubling there. Along with the third feather. And then this is the top of the head, that hair braid area, where we have some of that going on. But if you guys know your doubling, like your legit doubling, you'll know that this one is not a real doubled die. As a matter of fact, this is what they call machine doubling. All right, so that's where you get the stepped staircase appealing, the flat shelf appearance of the doubling. Where it steps down, it actually eats away at the overall size of that device. So this one right here, albeit just a nice looking coin, probably was overpaid on. This one sold for $129.95. And let me repeat that, $129.95. The coin in this condition is probably worth about $30. So, again, buyer beware. And seller beware. Make sure you're selling something that's true to what the market is for that type of coin. You may get stung. You may get a return somewhere later on down the road as someone finds out that this is not a double die. So you really want to just avoid that in advance. So we have about 8 coins or so, all from the same seller. However, it's funny, this seller only decided to put the front of each and every single coin on their listing. They didn't take pictures of the reverse of their coins. So this is going to be another exercise. Take full pictures of both the obverse and the reverse of the coin in every listing. You don't pay anything additional for a second image on your listing. We have a 1975D Lincoln Memorial cent. This, for a second, I forgot what kind of coin this was. This one is off-center struck by about 55%, give or take. It exhibits a full date and mint mark, which is what collectors love about off-center struck coins. They collect them by date, and that's the big appeal to these. This one right here, through 5 bids, sold for $17.75. The next one that we have here is a 1984 Lincoln as well. However, this one has a little bit of a Cud die break right here at the base of the Lincoln bust. All right, so a little piece of the die had fallen off, and Cuds will include the edge of the coin. If it's in the interior of the coin, like in the hair or in the ear or the beard, they call that interior die break. And that's its official namesake. This one right here, through 3 bids, sold for $19.24. Cuds are popular and they are valuable. So this thing's small. Make sure you look for the small ones too. Here's another Cud right here. This time it's a right good size one that covers nearly the entire word of trust in the motto, but it's a 75D. What's also interesting about this coin that I don't think the seller really noticed is that this has a really nice die clash. You can see it right here on the back of the head. It looks like a doubled clash back there. Really, really cool. And here's a more incredible part. This is a Denver coin. You don't see too many of these type of errors on Denver struck examples. So with that being said, this one did sell for a heavy amount of money. Through 9 bids, it sold for $61.80. My goodness. I mean, any sort of error on a Denver minted coin is going to bring in a hefty premium, probably near 2x of what a Philadelphia example of the same type would sell for. Here's another off-center, this time a 1998, one of the more common dates, I will say that. This one's off-center by about 20%-ish. This one sold for $15.24. Another one here, again, a much tougher date, 1988. These copper-coated zincs, man, they really show its warts when they're struck off-center. So you do have some of that peel away of the actual copper plating on there, which is commonplace for both off-center struck coins and broad strikes. They are normal to find with that peel away. This one right here is off-center by about, give or take, 30%. And I'm happy to say that this one also sold for $15.24. And this one here also sold for $15.24. So it was $9.99 plus shipping. And then probably the same individual put a bid in for every single one of them. But we have a really cool 1987. I actually like this one as a full date, but you have just a front profile view of Lincoln right there, which is pretty cool. And it says Rust, you know, so it has a full word right there, even though the T is missing. 75% off center, I would say, on this one. And again, $15.24. Here's an 83D. You actually can tell what the date is on this one. Again, a much tougher date because of where it's minted at. This one is off center by about 15%. And this one sold for a little bit more, $20.25. So that's a pretty good deal right there. And this might be the last one from this same seller, but we have another huge Cud, this time on a 74D. Here we go again with more Denver minted Cud action. This one is pretty big. It's very, very voluminous in its die breakage area. But yeah, this is another great one right here. Through 10 bids, this one sold for a little bit more money, $72.91. So as you can see, Cuds are certainly winning the day, even still. If you got them, minor or major, if you need the extra money, this is where it's at, ladies and gentlemen. And you can find them in both Philadelphia and Denver minted coins. Personally, I'd probably look through pennies more than I would anything else. Nickels would be a close second to find some of these Cuds. So make sure you're looking out for these. These are instant win tickets, ladies and gentlemen. It just seems I talk about this coin every single week. I talked about it once, and then now we're seeing just an influx of them being sold on eBay. But we have a 1979P Susan B. Anthony. And you guessed it, this is the wide rim variant. All right, so this one isn't a cherry picker's guide. The actual rim edge right here is really close to the date, whereas on the regular narrow rim type, this actual line will be right about here. So it's going to be much further away from the actual numbers of the date. But ladies and gentlemen, look out for these. They're coming up in vending machines and at the bank, and they're actually a lot more common than you think. This one sold for $14.99, which seems a little bit on the low side because it was a buy it now listing. But I've seen these kind of average $20 to $25. It's not too far off, but I think this seller left a little bit of money on the table. Now here's our featured coin of the week. Now you guys remember me talking about this coin over a year ago about how it's kind of a big deal because 2020 was the year of bad quality control. Well, the inventory is getting light out there. The supply is virtually non-existent. There's not a whole lot of these radical strike-through American Samoa and Weir Farm Park quarters. They're just starting to dry up in the market. So when one comes up, much like this one, where you feature just a huge strike through right on the bat, and this is the most centralized figure on the coin, and the coin obviously has been circulated, it just shows. I would be surprised if this is still like a mid-state 61. But these are drying up, and people love these. Okay, and this one, ladies and gentlemen, sold for $149. Which I would say is a lot higher than it was when they were first discovered. I remember the first one sold for about $100 last year. And then as more people were finding them, they begin to go down in value. But I think at its lowest, it got down to maybe 25, 30 bucks. But now there's not a whole lot of them out there on the secondary market, especially strike-throughs of this size. So that was created by just a big old massive ball of grease and debris and all sorts of other gunk that hardened and dropped onto the coin before it was struck. So none of that area even existed. The bat face completely obliterated. But 150 bucks is incredibly strong for this kind of coin. Now, we went from one extreme to the other. We have just a 1930D Lincoln wheat cent, but this one right here has a small little die chip that's filled up the 0 and the date, and that's the big reason why this one's sold. It does have a few scratches, like right over here. There's a few on the obverse, but, you know, it's not a perfect coin, but it's a perfect coin to list just to make a few bucks, and this one did. 2 bids all together, sold for $3.26. Here's a rare off-center struck Roosevelt dime. It's got no date, so it's not a huge hefty premium of a coin, but this one is off-center by about 50%. This one sold through 10 bids for $14.78. And this one right here is a 1999P, also from the same seller, I believe, because that fabric background just, you know, kind of gives it away. This one is probably a little bit off-center by about 10%. Some would even argue that it's maybe broad struck too. But, you know, there is no visible rim on this head. So this is more than likely just off-center struck. 11 bids, and this one sold for $15.45. That's a really solid sale. And also from the same seller, we have a 99. This time a broad struck Lincoln Memorial cent. I love this one because it is such a nice condition. High grade. This one through 11 bids. This one sold for $18.34. So a few bucks more than the dime that we saw previous. Now this is a rather crazy looking coin. I would say probably 70-80% of the people that look at this coin for the first time will say, well, that thing really got destroyed. But it got destroyed at the mint. And not in circulation. Although, judging from the looks, I swear, this thing looks like it's been through a few hands. Just the oxidation in the copper, you know, among a few other things. Man, this thing looks like it's circulated a little bit. But we can determine that this is a 2000 Philadelphia Lincoln Memorial cent. So not only is it broad struck, that's plainly evident just by looking at the reverse and this amount right here. But it's also got this huge indent with a brockage on there. So, wow, this is an incredible coin. You don't see this that often. A best offer was accepted. The original asking price on this one was $149 as well. So I would venture to guess maybe $100 to $125. But it's a rarity. You don't see these that often. Wait, what do we have here? This looks like one of those conduit punch outs, you know, like for doing power outlets. But what we have here is an actual legit blank planchet, but not just from any coin type. This comes from the large 1971, that's 1978 Eisenhower dollar. All right, these things are going to be huge. And this one also has the Type 2 upset edge type on there, so you can see just the edge is raised a little bit. So they put that through the upsetting mill to make that happen. But the Type 2 planchets for Eisenhower dollars are very desirable because you don't see them, and they're hefty in size. They are ginormous. This one through 11 bids sold for $83.11. So here's our next power play modern quarter with a strike through. This time it's one of those brand new Tuskegee Airmen 2021s. They're all Philadelphia struck. So if you're going to find one, Philly is the place. But up close, you can see that this one has that burning building, you know, kind of World War II style strike through. That's what I called this last time I did this. Really cool. And much like the American Samoa double back quarter, these are beginning to disappear too, even though it just came out. Not many people are searching through Tuskegee Airmen's, and I think that's a huge mistake. If it was any indication of what last year was like in terms of quality control, we should all be looking at 2021 as well. This one right here sold through 10 bids for $50.45. I mean, if that isn't much of an incentive for you, I don't know what is. You know, to make $50 off of a brand new coin is generally unheard of these days. So I would certainly take advantage of looking through these a little bit closer. Here's a cool little duet, 1927 Lincoln wheat cents. The one on the right is a San Francisco coin, but as you can see, these have a couple of lamination peels that had fallen off a long time ago because these things had recirculated to its present color. This pair right here, through 16 bids, sold for $27.49. There's the reverse for you. They look relatively normal, although this coin right here has a few digs. So this one is damaged and some edge issues. So yeah, problem coins will still sell in much the same fashion. Probably our last, well, we actually have one more piece of currency on the list, but we also have another one of these. I just love sharing these. It's a 1990 $20 Federal Reserve note that has a back to front wet ink transfer error. So you can see that partial area right here where the reverse ink had touched onto that part of the sheet and had left that impression. Usually anything like that would be in reverse image view. All right, so for legitimacy's sake. But this is just a cool note. It's circulated a little bit and probably stumped a few people that did own this in their hand. But the reverse will look normal in this case. And this one sold for $73.15. Here's a modern Statehood quarter error. Apparently this is part of Dad's collection. So, it's nice of him to get a good chunk of money for this one. But it's a 2000D New Hampshire. And, it's Denver. So again, there you go. You just don't see too many errors coming from Denver Mint. But here we are. We have a slightly off-center New Hampshire quarter. And this one, I'm happy to announce, sold for $39.45. Some of you will probably say, well, that's too much money. And I'm going to say, nope, because Statehood quarter errors are few and far between. Another lamination peel, this time on the reverse of this 1955D Lincoln wheat cent. This one's nice. A little bit out of focus, but that's okay. It shows just what is exactly going on and what you're selling. This particular coin sold for $9. So that's a quick little $9 bill for you, for a coin that I would say most people would just toss back. Now, here is the last note of the day. We have a 1988A $1 Federal Reserve note. So it's a little bit more of a modern note, but still old enough that you don't see these that often. But have no fear. The error that you will find on this note, if you can, you just have to look through notes, is going to pop out quite significant. Now, this one right here has a nice solvent smear or ink smear on the reverse. They're both the same thing. But this one goes left to right horizontally, which I think is pretty cool. I've only seen a few of these with that kind of solvent smear pattern. This one sold through 8 bids, $79.75. So make sure you're looking at both sides of the note. Solvent smears could be small, or they could be something like this, pretty involving. 2 more coins left. We have a 1985 Lincoln Memorial Cent. This one is off-center by about 55%. I've been pretty good at pegging that percentage. But again, a tougher date. This was actually imaged in a 2x2 holder. And I always tell folks, these things need to be out in the open when you take photos. They're not going to come out so dark. You're not going to get all of the white balance issues from all the reflections. So this one right here, in spite of just the imaging mess, sold for $20.45, which is a good amount of money for a coin that's pretty well circulated. And the final coin, I was going to say note, I keep flip-flopping back and forth. I mean, take note of the condition of this coin. Doesn't this look like something that came out of a Coke machine? I mean, seriously, this coin has circulated a lot, but check out the date, 2000p. And I love talking about some good old Spirit Eagle action. Yes, take a look at that. You have two. You have this very prominent die gouge, and then you have another little small one right here. But it looks like the Eagle's been speared through, and these are not rare. And I'm not afraid to say that. I found a few myself over the years. This, ladies and gentlemen, is a very valuable variety. And if you're not looking for these, shame on you. 5 bits collected together to bring this one up to a staggering $80.29 in this condition, with staining and little scratches and all sorts of other things going on here. So, yeah, there you go. That is a tremendous coin that still captivates the market like you would not understand. And that's going to go ahead and do it for the midweek edition of the Pocket Change Market Report. I'm your host, Sean, with BlueRidgeSilverhound. Keep in mind, we do have those playlists available on my channel main page. Check them out. I'm going to be filling up more videos in these spots here in the coming days. Sometime in the next 7 days, I'll be completely done. But if you're looking to find out how to take pictures of coins for your eBay auctions, you're going to find it in the playlists. Things like that. Which coins should you target? Which ones are most valuable? They're all going to be in their own dedicated playlist. So go ahead and binge watch to your heart's content, and I will be greatly appreciative. That's going to go ahead and wrap it up. Thank you guys for all your views and support through the years. Again, Coinaholics, we are discovering together. You guys have fun. Enjoy the rest of your week, and I'll see you on that next coin video. Take care.